And you can see as I begin entering, it also says, you can see that I have table 2 there. So there's tables listed within this list. If I go down, these are in alphabetical order, you can see that I have Todd's table. So I can select Todd's table, and then I'm going to open up brackets. Whenever I open up brackets, it gives me a choice. Gives me a list of choices. I can select items. These are basically the columns. The columns. I can select in my brackets quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. And then of course this says quarter 42. I have to go and change that. That would be total. Then you can see there's all, hashtag data, headers, totals. If I were to select quarter 1 and then close my brackets, now you can look up here. This is selected quarter 1 within Todd's table. And so if I were to close that, it's going to use quarter 1 within Todd's table as an argument, that range of cells, to find the sum, and it will find the sum of those. And just as you can see in the total row, we got 300,000. Okay, equals sum. Now if you start memorizing your tables, if this is something that you work, an Excel worksheet that you work in a lot, you could start memorizing your tables, and right there hit Todd, and then it automatically appeared. I just selected it, open brackets. I can select the quarters. I can use all of them as arguments if I want. Separate my arguments by parentheses. Again, Todd's table. And then again, open my brackets, select quarter 2, close my brackets. And I could continue to do that. I'm just going to make sure that I separate all of them by parentheses. Alright. Looks like my battery's about to die. You can see it. Poor planning. Okay, so that's basically cell reference with tables. I could keep going on, but really it's just best for you to play with it and learn it on your own. I mean, that's a lot of how I learned how to use Excel. I guess I'll do this a little bit more just so you can see some examples. Okay, open the brackets. If I were to select all, that's going to select the entire table. I'm going to close my brackets. And it's going to give me the result of all. It's going to give me the sum of all quantitative data that's in the cell. I could do data. That's just going to give me the sum of all quantitative data, the same as all. Headers, that doesn't really make sense. Our headers are qualitative data, so we wouldn't want to find the sum of headers, but that's what it would do. Totals, there it's giving me the sum of all totals. And, again, this is just cell reference. This will work for many different functions, but I'm just kind of showing you how when you use tables, you can refer to cells by names and column headers instead of just generic cell addresses. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to go over is circular reference. What circular reference is whenever you refer to a cell, when you insert a function or a formula into a cell, and that function or formula refers to the cell that it's inserted in. And what I mean is, you can see here I'm going to insert some data, and then in cell B9 I'm going to say equals cell B7 plus cell B8 plus cell B9. And B9 is the cell that I'm inserting this formula into. And then when I hit enter, you can see that there's a circular reference within our formula, and that could cause our formula to calculate incorrectly. And more than likely it would. You can see there we just get a 0 when I hit when I pressed OK. Okay, if you want to learn more about circular reference, you can go ahead and enter in a circular reference type of formula just like this. I'll do it over here. See, I already pressed OK, so it solved the problem. But if you click Help, Excel will give you a window that will provide you details of circular reference so you can learn more. You can also just click on the Help tab and navigate through that to learn more about it. Okay, there's times when circular reference, you can use circular references to your advantage, and there's times you're just going to need to do it. It's going to be a lot easier than trying to run through the calculations over and over and over again in your head or on paper. Why not just use Excel? Okay, so you can see here I have basically just a little model I threw together. We have a company that has revenues of $1.5 million, expenses of $600,000, and then we're going to have salaries. The company pays the employee salaries based on the net profit, so they're commission based, 10% of net profits. The problem here is our net profits are going to be revenues minus expenses minus salaries. So our net profits are dependent upon revenues, expenses, and salaries, but salaries is dependent on net profit. So salaries and net profit are dependent on each other. Our formula for net profit, or for salaries, would be 0.1, which is 10%, times our net profit. So I have to equal, I should know that, equals 0.1 times our net profit. Then we have a circular reference there. Okay, I don't know why this is saying value, giving me a value error. Minus. Okay, but there we have a circular reference problem. Because net profit is dependent on salaries, and salaries is dependent on net profit. The way that we can resolve this problem is by allowing Excel to enable iteration calculations. So I'm going to click File, go to Options, click the Formulas tab, and then over here in the Calculation options, I'm going to enable iterative calculation. I'm going to keep the maximum iterations at 100 and the maximum change. Press OK, and what it did was it ran the calculation through as many iterations as it needed to until our salaries were 10% of our net profit. And so it will run as many iterations as it needs to until you reach a desired result. Alright, so there is an intentional circular reference that you could use to your advantage. Okay, the one other thing I'm going to cover, and just kind of winging this part of this tutorial, you can refer to cells within other worksheets and other workbooks. So you, here I'm going to insert a formula into cell C6 there, and then I'm going to click on a different tab and refer to that cell, plus that cell, and then I will refer to a cell within this worksheet, and then I'll just hit enter, and there you can see that we have a result. We didn't have a problem at all. Let me click on formulas, click on show formulas, expand this a little bit. So you're going to see that I hit equals and mixed. That's the name of that worksheet. And so we're going to have the name of the worksheet separated by an exclamation point, and then we have the cell address. So what that's saying is this sheet mixed, sheet name, exclamation point, cell address, plus again plus this is within that cell, Todd's table, totals. So it's referring to the table. Even though we went to a different sheet, this time it didn't even have to specify the sheet because it was a table, and Excel knows that that table is within that sheet, so it didn't even need to specify it because it's within a table. So plus Todd's table, and then of course the brackets, which we went over earlier, totals, the totals and Todd's table,